Next factor was the change in how Americans felt about government coercing them into religion. From the beginning, the colonies had local governing bodies with local elections of local citizens. They had a high degree of local autonomy to pass and execute and enforce their own laws. Now, passing social, religious legislation is a time-honored way of formalizing social norms. We do the same thing nowadays, passing laws on caste discrimination in California, or banning gender-affirming care in Oklahoma, or banning the sale of alcohol back in 1919. But these laws have an effect only if they are enforced. For example, the Puritans passed a law in 1646 mandating death for children who cursed at their parents, something parents with teenagers can relate to. This was almost certainly based on biblical Deuteronomic law, which also required the death of rebellious children. The Puritans did not think they were being cruel. They were simply following the biblical law handed down by Moses. That law stayed on the books for many years in various forms. But there are zero known cases where children were actually charged, let alone convicted and put to death. There was no appetite among Puritan families for actually executing their rebellious teenagers. That does not mean people weren't religious. A lot were. And the official state legacy denominations certainly tried very hard to stamp out competition. But the evidence actually shows that religious laws were enforced less and less as time went on. For example, in 1611 and 1619, the Virginia House of Burgesses passed a law requiring everyone to attend weekly public worship. It was not especially successful in enforcing attendance. Many colonists saw their rector only once a month. There were constant complaints back to church headquarters in England about poor attendance. The law was loosened over time. In 1699, the General Assembly voted to reduce the required to attendance to only once a month, but even that was poorly enforced. York County, Virginia grand jury records show a low degree of enforcement in the years leading up to the Revolution. Between 1750 and 1774, there were 272 referrals to the grand jury for non-attendance, with only 153 convictions, all with fines, no jail. That worked out to about 2 referrals per month, on average, from the entire county. And by 1776, referrals had dropped to almost zero, and only those summonses were routinely ignored. People still saw themselves as Christians, and the new country was filled with Christians. By 1776, they generally did not want the government coercing or enforcing personal religious compliance on them.